Alright, hello again guys. If I've already uploaded the other videos I've recorded today, then you'll have noticed I haven't managed to sleep yet. So anyway, get on with the video. One commenter, I won't say the name, I want to make sure with, checking with people first about that sort of stuff, because, not everyone wants to be mentioned in videos, and that's fine, but one commenter I've just been talking to mentioned, it's a subject that I've touched on, an idea for a video to talk about with the tinnitus stuff. It's a subject that I've touched on a little bit when talking in the past, when I've mentioned, like, yeah, have a set of earplugs. By all means, use them when you're hearing, your ears feel uncomfortable, but don't overly worry. That part is well worth expanding upon, because there is a wealth of internet information from internet gurus on tinnitus that say, ridiculous things, really limiting yourself and your life because you have this ailment. And there's so much I could say on that subject, and I really will ramble if I get into it too much. But yeah, so I really will ramble if I go on about that, discussing like philosophy and the spiritual side of it, but I'll try to keep it to the point, as usual. This idea of, like a commenter mentioned, people saying you should wear earplugs when doing washing up and everyday, day-to-day activities that everyone experiences, and not by any stretch does it directly cause tinnitus. It's insane. It is batshit crazy. No question about it. This limiting belief, crippling yourself, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all this stuff, affecting your well-being, which, as we know, fundamentally is what triggers the tinnitus. It's complicated, obviously, but that's the core issue here. Even in cases with physical damage, just the idea that you should be limiting yourself to that degree is absolutely insane, and I don't recommend it at all. Since I've had my tinnitus spike 11 months ago now, it's quite a long time actually, now that I think about it. I really haven't dwelled on it that much, but yeah. Since then, well, before that time, I used to really be anal about wearing earplugs in loud places, public places, If a pub had a jukebox on and I was for some reason in a pub and not gigging, which doesn't happen often, there are cheaper ways to drink, believe me. But yeah, if I was in that situation, I would have the earplugs in, no question. I wouldn't take them out to talk to people. I'd keep it in, I'd lean in. I was very, very cautious with my hearing before I got the tinnitus. I got the tinnitus not too long after that mentality became my default, where I was really fretting about this stuff, because I was worried I was going to develop tinnitus, because I was playing in bands, was playing quite loud. I did one gig with a band where the guitar player was relentlessly loud, and for some reason, I blame it being the bass player in that band. Bass players always get crapped on, and I was stood right in front of his amp all night, and my ears didn't stop ringing for 2 days after. And they did stop. That wasn't what caused my tinnitus. I didn't seem to suffer any deafness or anything. Guitars don't tend to do damage like that. It's drum cymbals you gotta really look out for. Guitars are a much more mid-range instrument. It's the extremes that will damage your hearing. But yeah, so again, I didn't have earplugs. I was stood right next to the guitar cab. Really fucked my not hearing, but it was full and clogged and horrible. That feeling many of you know. And yeah, that scared me straight. I knew I was playing fairly loud in the other bands I was in. I started wearing earplugs to every gig and every loud environment I ever went to. And that went on for about 6 months, and then I got the tinnitus, and I'm sure you've heard the rest of my story from there. So yeah, what I believe is that mentality, that fear, that it physically puts you into that stressed out place. Worrying about it can create the tinnitus. Like, there's been studies that show it. If you get a bunch of healthy individuals with no reported symptoms of tinnitus, put them in a quiet room for long enough, they will get ringing in the ears. The mentality is the big bit. The emotional, the mental, all that stuff. Those factors are massive. So I think this idea of, you should always be protecting your ears, always thinking about this and worrying about your tinnitus, because you're a tinnitus sufferer, damn it. Act like one. This whole idea of basing your identity and what you are and what you do, what you can do, what you're allowed to think, or all this stuff. It's a terrible idea. It's absolutely terrible. In my opinion, it will do more damage than loud noise exposure ever will. Given reasonable constraints, don't go standing next to a rocket launching anytime soon. Be reasonable with it, be sensible. If it's that bad, it will be uncomfortable. Your ears will tell you. So I do recommend having a set of earplugs and keeping them on you for loud environments, but don't worry about it. Don't limit yourself. Don't think, oh, I can't go to a restaurant because of it. By all means, don't if it's that uncomfortable for you. But do not carry this idea, this burden that because you have tinnitus, you can't live your life. You can't do things that you used to do. You know, like I know Aid got a lot of flack from one individual, and if you're watching, I hope you're doing well. I really do. But he got a lot of flack because he's a biker. You know, Aid's a biker, which is fairly loud, all that stuff. And, you know, to be fair, when you're on the bike with the helmet on, it's not as loud as it is going by with the Doppler effect racking up. You know, the waves amplify and vroom, and there you go. You know, it's loud for the people watching the guy on the bike going by. This idea that Aid shouldn't ride his motorcycle because he has tinnitus, ridiculous. The idea that I shouldn't play a guitar, and I shouldn't play it bloody loud like I do, ridiculous. So long as I'm careful with it, you know, and I do wear earplugs, you know, I don't worry about it as much as I used to. And I have done a practice semi-recently, it was a couple of months back, where, you know, I took the earplugs out for half an hour, nothing. My ears were the quietest they'd been to that point after that practice. Because of the stress involved in doing the practice, that affected me over the next few days. I was in that negative state. The tinnitus sure crept up then. So the only way I would say limit yourself with the tinnitus is gain an awareness of the emotional things, the stresses in your life that you can perceive, because there'll be a lot that you can't. This is why tinnitus varies so much. A lot of people say to me, yeah, I have days where I'm calm and relaxed and it's ringing off the wall. And yeah, those are bound to happen. And vice versa, you'll have days where you're stressed as fuck, really worried and fatigued, and yeah, the tinnitus can be quiet. It's not a clear-cut case of what you consciously perceive is the direct factor causing the tinnitus. It's the subconscious mind that is the big player here. That's the bit that dictates how the nervous system's balanced, all that stuff. That's the bit you got to address. You're not always going to be in conscious control of it. You're not always going to be consciously aware of every single factor that's affecting your ringing. But by all means, pay attention. And this is why the body awareness exercises are good. You know, Julian's exercises, I highly recommend them. They were the main technical, physical thing I did to get my ringing to start coming down months back now. But yeah, learn what you can from the tinnitus about your life. Learn the things that you shouldn't do, you know, emotionally, whatever, that seem to trigger it. By all means, reduce them. But don't take any advice from someone on the net, haha, you know, about what you should or shouldn't or can or cannot do because you have ringing in your ears. You're an individual. Your tinnitus is completely unique to you. No one else can tell you the exact ins and outs of it. There's a general pattern, you know, nervous system dysfunction, you know, hearing damage is a factor, all this sort of stuff. But there's loads more to do with it. It's completely on you what you do with being a tinnitus sufferer. And what you choose to do with it. So anyway, I'm kind of rambling now because I'm more just trying to express emotionally what I feel on this rather than technically. Just, it's an insane idea. I see this in every area of health that I look at, you know, like looking at singing, because I'm a singer, if you can call it that, you know, I sing, and Adele's blown her voice out recently, and so of course, all of the hordes of internet experts have chimed in with us. She doesn't have the proper technique. You know, she needs to go listen to this vocal coach who doesn't sing like Adele at all, doesn't teach people to sing like Adele. It's insane. The point stands here with the tinnitus. You're your own individual, you need to make your own choice about this stuff. Don't let anyone bully you into giving things up that you love just because you've got a ringing in the ears. Please don't give up your passions or your interests or limit yourself like that because of what anyone on the net has to say about it. Just use your own common sense, take care of your hearing, by all means be careful with it, don't be stupid with it. As usual, the guideline is 90 decibels, consider some hearing protection. Even then, you'll have 8 hours of it before damage racks up. Then 93 decibels, it will be 4. That's the general guideline, you know. So yeah, by all means, put that into practice. Again, get some earplugs, be wary of loud environments. But yeah, live your life. You know, you're still a living, breathing human being. Crippling yourself because, oh, I've got this ailment, I need to stop. That's worse. That will make the problem worse. It won't help you heal. It really won't. That fear, that anxiety, it will bugger you up more than a loud noise will. And I know I said that already, but the suggestions these people give. I don't know if I said this bit already, but us tinnitus sufferers are wired in a way, physically, that makes us negative and anxious and stressful. It's why we fret so much about the details with this stuff of, hair cell damage, what if my hearing is buggered, and then you get the test back, 8 kilohertz, it's fine. So, you get the advice from the doctor, it must be higher up. So, I haven't had a 20 kilohertz hearing test, to be honest, I just don't care. I really don't. But some people have, their hearing comes back fine. So then the goalposts get moved by these experts again. It must be undetectable on the test. If it's that minute and that minuscule, that these tests that you were claiming were important, a round or two ago, if they're that important, and these tiny bits of damage really do lead to tinnitus, every single one of us would get it, guaranteed, as we get older. Because we all lose our hearing to some degree, big or small, whatever, it happens to some degree in all of us. And yeah, not all old people have tinnitus. So anyway, I'm diverging off here. The point is, do not limit yourself because of what anyone on the net says about, you have tinnitus, it means you can't do this, or that, or you have to do this. Sorry. Just, be your own person, use your own judgment, do whatever you gotta do to feel better with it. Live your lives. Anyway, I'm definitely just rambling now. Maybe the sleep deprivation really is kicking in, but yeah, I hope you get something out of those words, however chaotic they may be, and I hope you're all doing well. I'll speak to you soon. Catch you later. Bye.